Hello and welcome to Page One, the Writers Podcast. I'm Marco.
I'm Tarek.
And wait, Tarek, who's this?
Oh, it's Timmy. I've been released from the cupboard of dispatching Page Ones for a special appearance on the Page One podcast.
Tim is, you may have heard, if you've listened to the podcast before, we have referred to the boss in quotes, and Tim is that man.
Or legend. The myth.
I don't think we've called you legend.
The man, the legend.
I obviously haven't listened to all of them yet.
Tarek, this is one of a special series of episodes we've recorded at the Fringe with comedians to find out about their writing process for their stand-up shows. And we recorded these at a variety of venues across Edinburgh. So the sound quality does vary at times. We sometimes recorded them at the venues themselves. But Tarek wasn't able to make all of the interviews, so Tim kindly agreed to step in.
Interviewer extraordinaire.
Yes, and I think, Tarek, you're out of a job.
I've been waiting 112 episodes for this day. I'm finally free.
Well, you've not heard my ones yet, so we'll see how that goes.
We'll see how it goes with the listeners. But yeah, so we will get straight into these special episodes. We're releasing at least one a day this week. They're very short episodes, but hopefully very interesting and funny, of course. And we'll play a quick advert for our writer's notebook, and then we'll get straight into the interview.
But for now, on with the podcast.
See you later.
The blank page. To some, it's terrifying, an obstacle to overcome. But we prefer to think of it as an opportunity, a blank canvas to be filled with all of the adventures and characters in our head. So how to overcome that fear? Well, we all know the best advice for a writer is write. Seriously, get words on the page and more will follow.
But what about later, when you start trying to pull those threads of what you've written together? What about the character you wrote about way back at the start? Who was she again? What was she carrying? And where did she leave the MacGuffin that she now really needs in the third act? Think about all those top thrillers you like to read, or that amazing drama you just watched. What did they all have in common? Structure and planning.
As aspiring writers ourselves, we've tried many different methods to try and organise all the thoughts about the stories we want to tell. We've been there searching for a piece of scrap paper to note something down, or making a quick note on our phone in between meetings.
Or sometimes we'll make a note in whatever notebook we're carrying, or a document on our laptop so we don't forget that great idea. Let's be honest, it can all be a bit messy and it's easy to lose track of everything. And that's when we realised it's not just the story that needs structure and planning, but the way we gather all of our thoughts about it as well.
And so we made Page One. Page One is more than just another notebook. It's a place to put down all your ideas for your latest project, divided into easy-to-use sections that will help you plan your story, so that when that blank page comes calling, you're ready to answer. And then afterwards, once it's written, we realised you need to plan how to let people read it, so we included a section relating to submissions.
Each one is designed for one project, whether you want to write a book, screenplay, a comic, or any other kind of story. We truly believe that when you use it, it will help you get to the main event, writing your story. So we hope this helps.
We can't wait to read what you come up with.
And remember, every story starts with page one.
Hi, and welcome to another special episode of Page One, the Writers Podcast at the Fringe. I'm Marco.
And I'm Tarek.
And today we're joined by the brilliant Sunil Patel. So, regularly we speak to authors and sort of screenwriters and things like that. And my question is always, did you always want to be a writer? So I suppose in your case, did you always want to be a comedian?
I didn't always want to be a comedian. I think this is going to sound quite, not arrogant, but a little bit entitled. Like during my 20s, I thought like, if I don't find a proper job that I'm good at, I'll have to do something in comedy. And I didn't. I was just doing a series of like terrible, dead-end, pointless jobs. And then when I hit 29, the house share I was living in London, hello, there's a dog.
Random dog.
Did not expect that to go in. No? Looks like the Pleasance's dog with a collar. When I was 29, the house share I was living in, a stand-up comedian moved into.
Oh, okay.
And I just immediately was like, all right, we've got to get him in. He's moving in.
And that man was Lee Evans.
And that man was it was in the early 90s. No, he was an Irish freestyle rapper called Abando Man.
Oh, is it? Oh, was it actually?
It was, yeah. So it was through him that I realised that when you go and see comedy, people have prepared a routine. They haven't just wandered onto stage and done a new thing every time. And it was like, oh, right, yeah. And then just started doing it after that. Basically, that was how I got into it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And am I right in saying I read something that you got interested in stand-up through a Lee Evans VHS that you watched religiously?
That was the first stand-up I'd ever seen, was a Lee Evans VHS I bought from HMV in Marble Arch on a day trip to London. Because I was like, I need to get a souvenir. I've got 20 quid to spend. And that's when VHSs were like 20 quid. And it was on a big display. And I thought, all right, that'll do. And it was mind-blowing. Yeah, it was incredible. Completely the opposite of what I do now. But just amazing to see.
Yeah. So you watched that, you thought that's what I wanted. That was...
No, even then I was like, this is nice. I could never do
I
this.
might do that.
Oh, that's the worst thing I could possibly do. Yeah.
I always thought like, I'll do something in comedy. Is I'll write a script or something.
Yeah.
Or I'll do something, write some sketches or something like
Yeah.
that. But that was like a pipe dream. That was like I would never have thought about doing some writing in my spare time as a hobby, which is probably the best way of starting something like that. But yeah, stand-up was the first thing I did in comedy. And that's how I sort of learned how to write through that, basically.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you said that when Abando Man moved into your flat, you realised that it wasn't just a spontaneous thing. So, I mean, what is your writing routine? How do you get into it?
Yeah, it's changed things. Actually, the interesting thing is that Abando Man is a spontaneous thing. It is fully improvised. It's a fully improvised show, whereas like, normal stand-up, or, what we see as stand-up is written and rehearsed. My writing process, it used to be, I still write a lot on paper, like lots and lots and lots, and about 1 or 2% of that ever makes it onto me trying it out on a stage, let alone workable material.
Yeah.
So I think but then I think I've slowly realised that's probably not the best way to do things. And I think the better way is like just write about the stuff that you're thinking about and talking about with people a lot. And that, obviously, if you're thinking about it and talking about it a lot, is probably what really resonates with you. Yeah. And hopefully it'll be something that works with other people. So I think moving away from writing it down on paper all the time to more just talking it out, because stand-up's for me anyway, is a conversational medium. It's not, I'm not a one-liner writer. I don't need to get the exact wording perfectly right. I need to get an idea across and then go back and make sure I'm saying it in the best way.
Yeah.
And how do you come up with the idea itself? Where does that start? Do you approach it from the point of view of, this is a topic I want to tackle, or do you just, as a punchline kind of come to you? Do you build around the ends?
Both, I think. Like, I think the last show I did was in 2019, before this one, was where I thought, okay, I want to do an entire show about, because I never used to talk about race on stage at all. I was never mentioned it. And then I thought, I'll do an hour about that and figure out through that what I actually think about things.
Yeah.
And for that, I would just write down sort of maybe little topics or ideas I've had, maybe just 3 or 4 words. And then I'd go down to the library and I'd sit there with the bit of paper and be like, this one topic, I'll just sit here staring at this for 45 minutes and see if anything interesting can come up from me just mulling it over, basically.
Yeah.
And more often than not, not really, but when it did, it was like a really interesting thing that I hadn't heard before. Yeah. So I thought, okay, just that spending time on it really worked then. But now with this show I've done now, I basically did, it's 2 things. So in the pandemic, every morning I'd write 5 ideas. I'd write 5 ideas for business ideas I could come up with. And eventually it was just kind of like me having fun with it, and so I ended up writing jokes and funny stuff, which was just for me. It was just for me to find funny or interesting, just to keep myself ticking over. And that stuff, weirdly, people like more than the stuff I thought that people would like. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? And it makes into that stories that I've told people in the past that I've never really said on stage because I didn't think they were interesting.
Is that because there's something about when you write something that's like true or more
Yeah.
authentic. And it
Yeah,
resonates more.
it's I guess it's a little bit of like you're not trying to impress anyone if you've just written it for yourself,
Yeah.
and it does come across as more authentic. I think it's just you being your purely honest self about what you find funny and just trying to communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you're building a show up, are you testing jokes? Are you talking to other comedians about the jokes? Are you testing it in front of audiences? What are you doing?
All of it. Just try it on everyone and everywhere. I think it's interesting talking to comedians when you're trying out jokes on comedians. Like they don't laugh. They kind of just like they're like, oh yeah, that works.
Right. Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They never. They're actually,
Very rarely. You're like, it'd be like, yeah, that'll work. Yeah.
are you sure?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel
I
like it's
feel like it's gonna be funny. But I think if it's and obviously I tend not to try it out on my friends that aren't comedians
Okay.
because I'm afraid if they don't like it, then it's not, I don't know. It's a lot of it, and I think maybe a bad habit of mine is trying to impress comedians more than anything else. But yeah, lots of different ways, just any which way I can to try and get it out.
Because I suppose also the when you testing stuff, you've got your pals maybe run a table having a coffee. It's very different than in a comedy club.
Yeah.
People have been drinking and it's people are in the mood to the one they want to laugh.
Absolutely, yeah. And then it's another game doing it in the Edinburgh Festival where people are sober at 2 p.m. in the afternoon and have seen 3 shows already and they're trying to get off to the next one.
Yeah.
So I think the best advice I've heard about, not the best, but one of the best pieces of advice I've heard is some American comedian, I'm going to forget his name, he's like, as long as you're interested, then just at least try and be interesting, because that'll keep people's attention. Even if they don't find a bit that funny, they'll want to know, they'll want to hear more.
As long as they're not bored.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to be compelling and interesting as an act. So yeah, it's kind of it.
And what's when it comes to the joke itself, what's more important to you? Is it the setup or is it the punchline? And what do you kind of have one in your head to aim for when you're on stage?
Yeah, it's usually like where the runway is, you just got to land there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then often you'll just swerve off in the wrong direction.
As long as you know where all the runways are.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is. But then obviously that's where I fall down as an actor, is that I don't have that precision that a lot of comedians have, where they know exactly how to say it, exactly which words. And that's where, for me, the actual, like, the labour and the work of it comes in, is like making sure you do it right every time and do the writing justice, because otherwise it's all wasting everyone's time.
And you're on at Fringe the Fringe is on for nearly a month, and does it become difficult to do the same thing over and over again, or do you vary it up every night, or
no variation.
Right. Okay.
No, there is variation in the sense that like, you'll obviously try and improve things over and over.
Yeah.
Or you'll respond to things happening in the room. But apart from that, no, not really. I mean, not really very things that could get bored of it. You occasionally can get into a state where you're doing it just completely dead behind the eyes.
Yeah.
But I think if I was doing a pure hour of just talking with no standing stock still and talking, then I might switch off.
Yeah.
But I try and do things, especially this year where I'm moving around. I've got to hit certain cues. I've got to be in a certain place to say a certain thing. So yeah, it depends how I perform anyway. But yeah, dead behind the eyes is certainly it's a danger. Yeah. Especially because I started doing the show in Edinburgh here last year, and I've been doing a lot of that material for the last year, trying to get it right. So yeah.
It's when your COVID and lockdown has been harder, much less shows. Much more time spent in your own head with the same lines.
Exactly, yeah.
What about hecklers? What's your approach? Do you have lines? Do you write lines to use stock phrases, or do you kind of just ad-lib it?
No, just ad-lib it. I think it depends on what your persona is on stage. Me calling someone a cunt probably won't sound that great. Do you know what I mean? Whereas some people, it's perfect for the persona.
Yeah.
Whereas if I just like deflect it or play it off and just be like, well, that was strange, then let's get people back on track.
Yeah.
Heckling at the Fringe isn't really a thing if you're doing your show, especially not mine if it's in the afternoon. occasionally people will get excited and shout stuff out.
Yeah.
In which case you just sort of try and integrate it into what you're saying and then move on and just like not encourage it but like welcome it and then
Yeah.
Thank you, but stop.
And you're at the festival this year. Do you want to tell us a bit about your show?
It's called Faster Horses. So it was, as I said, it's based on like hundreds of business ideas I wrote when I thought my career was over. And then we talk about I've had about 40 odd jobs in my life. And I talk about a lot of those stuff like, stuff that went pretty badly. Talk about the first business I had that went under pretty badly. Talk about, I went to El Salvador because I got into crypto this year. I created my own cryptocurrency, almost went to jail for that because I missold it fraudulently. Lots of like various little things. When I talk about when I used to be an assistant for somebody who did pranks on people and filmed them. I just talking about my mad job history, and it's sort of like open to the audience a bit where they can vote on my business ideas I came up with.
Is it quite a cathartic thing? It sounds like like because you go on this like all these field jobs, etc. And it could be quite it could affect you quite badly, negatively.
I see,
you
right?
Turn on
Yeah, I mean,
does it make you feel better?
If they think my ideas are bad, I agree. They are bad. They were written in order to amuse me, and I think it's just really fun. And it's basically stuff I've never really talked about on stage, which would have happened to me over my life because I didn't. I just never thought people would be interested. Yeah. And then starting to tell it on stage, people are like, they liked it and they found it funny. And it's probably the most honest show I've done because it's like stuff that actually happened.
Yeah.
It's not. But yeah, it should be interesting. Hopefully people enjoy it.
And one question that always I wonder about with stand-ups, as someone that it would affect me with, is the fear. Like that first time you decided that I'm going to go out and do stand-up, I mean, was there a lot of fear there before you got on?
Oh yeah, it's like an out-of-body experience.
Yeah.
I thought I died. I did it, and I remember like having the sensation of my mouth speaking, but I just wasn't paying attention to what was happening.
Yeah.
I just rehearsed it to death, did it, came off, felt more adrenaline than I ever have in my life.
Yeah.
And then got a bus home, which is the life, isn't it? A 45-minute bus home. And then I was just wandering the streets, like walking around the block over and over again. And it's like,
is that the reason, a lot of people talk about how the nerves going in are bad, the rush coming out is amazing.
Yeah.
Is that for you, is that the draw to stand up?
no real rush anymore.
Dead behind the eyes.
Completely, it's not so much, but now it's more like just knowing what you're capable of and what you can do next, and like push yourself in a certain way that you've not done before. It's more just like personal development almost, isn't it? It's almost like, it's not therapy for me, but it's certainly like, it's good to know that you can do more and more the more better you get at something. And that's all really anyone wants, I think, just getting better at something.
And you talked about the persona and stuff like that, which obviously you're up there, you're you, but a lot of comedians talk about this persona on stage as opposed to the real them, as it were. Is that a sort of shield almost? Does it let you say things that you might otherwise not say?
So, I mean, I think sometimes I suppose it's different people. I think if you're up on a stage, I think you're already allowed to say more than the average person would say because it's you've got a microphone. Yeah. So you've got the context of it being comedy, so people have an idea of it being like stuff you shouldn't be saying around a dinner table at home. But the persona thing is really useful because it allows people to understand what you're going to be joking about and in what way.
Yeah.
So you can, if you come on and go, oh, all right, and then okay, this guy's down, and then you can do jokes about how your wife hates you. And people will get it. If I went on all cheery, my wife fucking hates me. It doesn't work. The persona doesn't work. It just signals what you're about to do, and it makes it easier for people to know when to laugh.
And what about folk who are listening who, this is their Lee Evans VHS moment.
Yeah.
They've listened to this episode and they think, that's, if all else fails, that's what we'll do. What's your recommendation for folks starting out?
To start comedy?
Yeah.
I always used to look for advice so much when I started. I was like, I'd wait for feedback from people, and I think the best comedians, the most professional ones, wouldn't give any because eventually you get to a point where you realize you would know absolutely nothing, and the stuff you do know is purely relevant to you.
Yeah.
And I think the best thing you can do is just start and learn for yourself, and don't listen to anyone else's advice, because they're living in a different mind to you. So they're going to perform in a different way.
Yeah.
I think the most joy you get out of doing anything is just to figure it out yourself. And then you feel a bit more secure in what you're doing, I think.
Yeah, I definitely imagine from someone who's not a stand-up, the hardest thing I would find would be, as you said, fear of just going out and speaking. And I think once you get to go over that part of it, I'm not saying it'll become easier, but it will become easier then, because then you just focus more on what type of comedy do I want to say. I'm not so stressed about standing in front of a room.
But equally, I think if you start thinking about that, you don't let yourself naturally do that thing that you want to, and then you start analysing it. And I think so maybe the best advice I would have got at the beginning is someone saying, just have fun. But at that stage, you're like, how the fuck am I supposed to? I'm actually shitting it out here. You can't tell me that. And then 10 years later, you're like, oh yeah, you just got to have fun, haven't you?
Exactly.
You've just got to enjoy.
So for those listening, where and when is your show on?
It's at 1:55 p.m. at Monkey Barrel 1 every day except the 8th of August. So yeah.
Excellent.
1:55 p.m. Why not 2 o'clock?
I don't know. Scheduling issues.
Lunch before or after that?
I think I personally have lunch before it. So join me for
Your
lunch before.
it? I would have thought you'd be no nerves.
12 o'clock lunch.
12
and then I've got 2 hours.
Perfect.
Exactly. Time to digest, yeah.
Okay, last question. Worst and best heckle you've had?
Oh, God. I don't get heckled that much, and if it's
nice.
not in a. I don't mean that because I'm so bloody good. I mean, in general, people are like, heckles aren't that good these days. They're not like they used to be, where people could come up with really interesting ones. The worst heckle is just when someone's mumbling something, and you go, "What was that?" and then they just disappear, and then you've just broken the flow.
It ruins the vibe of the show.
You got no one to shout at, but if you could anyway. Best heckle. I mean, you can't give them the credit for that, can you? Best heckle. No, I don't really get good heckles. I get sometimes people suggesting jokes that are better than mine. And that's happened once, and it's like, you just fucking crushed me, man.
But then it's again
But they wrote it down.
Yeah,
Then I wrote it down, and now it's in the show.
Well, we hope you enjoyed that episode. If you did, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode like these ones down here.
And if you want to get in touch, you can do so by finding us on our social media platforms up here, or drop us a comment way down below there.
But otherwise, thanks for listening and join us for the next episode.
See you later.